Hi, and welcome back to Light the Path podcast. I'm your host, Queen Cole. Make sure you're following Light the Path on all social media platforms. Subscribe so you do not miss an episode. Joining me on today's show is Gabrielle Clover, better known as Clover the Violinist. What started out as a few open mic nights per month just to get her feet wet and reintroduce herself to performing really sparked her passion in a way she never expected. Gabrielle brings a contemporary edge to a traditionally classical instrument. You gotta stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. But first, try new things. Thank you so much, Gabrielle, for being on the show. Light the Path. I appreciate you.
Of course, and thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
I'm excited. This is going to be a great show. But it's Tuesday, so we got to kick it off with try new things. What have you tried new lately?
Trying new. This quarantine has had me working it up in the kitchen. So I'm trying all kinds of new recipes. I've become like Chef Clover behind the scenes. So I'm vegan actually, so it's already been tricky, trying to find like a creative way to eat healthy and like maintain my diet. So doing so under quarantine has kind of like elevated that to a certain extent. So just trying new ingredients, trying new foods. I made like a tofu bolognese. It sounds really fancy, but it's just like a vegan pasta dish with like a tofu kind of meat base that you kind of mix in with it, and like there's some seafood. So that's like my new staple favorite right now.
Okay, that sounds real good. Tofu is hard for me to cook because I sometimes overcook it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'll get everything right, and then it's like, why do I have cardboard on this nice sauce or something like that? So tofu is tricky for me. How long have you been a vegan?
Since the beginning of last year, so like a little under a year and a half now.
Okay. Yeah, vegan is harder though. God, it's a lot of discipline.
It really is. The transition, I would say, took me a good 6 months because I was just eating regular food, and then like every month I would phase out a new meat or something like that. So the last couple months I was just strictly vegetarian. And then towards the end of the year, like going into the new year with resolutions and everything, I'm like, let me just see if I can go 30 days without dairy, and let me just try to do vegan. And I think like after that 30 days, like I actually went a little bit over before I realized the time was up. And I'm like, what? I like this. Like I feel good. Like my energy is good and everything. So let's see like if I can do another 30 days. And it just kind of stuck at that point. And I didn't like the cravings were gone and everything. So I didn't have any desire to kind of, go back or anything like that.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, once the cravings go, then you're on easy street. So that's good. Congratulations, and keep trying new things. All right, so now we'll start with the interview part. And this is what I'm excited to talk to you about. Like when I first saw you at the Culture of Arts, it was so dope. I'm like, a violinist? What? She's cute. She played all these dope songs. I was just like, I was so impressed. So I was like, I definitely need to get you on the show. But tell everybody, how did you start playing? Where did that come from?
So I started the violin when I was about, I would say like 10 or 11. And my first instrument ever was actually the piano. So I was taking like piano lessons, and then my dad wanted to take piano lessons, but he found a different teacher. So his teacher also taught the violin, and like I would go with him to his lessons, and the students that she had before him, they would be usually violinist or maybe a viola player or something like that. And I was intrigued every time I went. Like I would want to go early so I could see them and like to see what they're doing. So after a few months of like low key begging, they finally okay, like we'll give it a shot. So I started taking lessons with his teacher, but with the violin. And I was still doing piano on the side, but eventually I actually let the piano lessons go after a few more years, and I stuck fully with the violin. So to date, it's been about, I think, 16 or 17 years on and off.
Wow. that's huge. And then I guess that's what alludes to my second question. Have you played other instruments, in your life? I mean, so you said piano. So that's but what was it about the violin that said, you know what, this is, I wanna do this?
And I don't know. It's just like it's something about the way you play, and I think I like the challenge of it too. Because, and I'm not knocking piano at all, because piano is still pretty difficult. But it's like with the violin, there's a lot. I think there's a different level of coordination involved with like how you hold it, and you have to hold your bow, and there's like technique for both sides. So like there's a lot of moving parts. And then on top of that, you got to read music and you got to make it sound good. And like, it's a lot going on, but it's a fun challenge for me. Like, I like the challenge of it. And then in tandem with, playing the violin, I ended up going to a school for like with a music scholarship, like in high school. Oh, wow. And they were trying to build up their music program. So I was like in everything. So at that time, I think I had actually let go of the piano, but I joined the choir. I joined jazz choir. I was in orchestra. I actually did marching band as well. I marched snare drum.
Wow. So, okay.
Drum line. So yes. Like I love music. So anything that involves making music, the process, production, like all that, I like being a part about all that.
That is so cool. And I'm not musically inclined, but I love good music. I love being around creatives that are artsy like that, because it makes me more creative. I'm like, after I left there that night, I'm like having all these ideas, what I need to do. I mean, it was just inspiration, even though I'm not, a musician. But for you, what is the hardest part about being a musician? But what's the best part also?
So, okay, I think maybe other artists and musicians can relate, but at least for me, the hardest part is that doubt. That's kind of like, it kind of lingers in the back of your mind. And it's, when you're in a performance setting, or when you want to release your music or kind of express your creativity, there's a vulnerability that comes with that, So for me, it's, at least the worst part for me is just kind of battling that doubt and like kind of keeping it down. Like, you know what? No, I need to share my gift, and, I want to share it with others. And, I know everyone appreciates it. And even if it's just one person that can get something out of it, or that I can, affect in a positive way, like that should be enough, so don't worry about the doubt. Don't worry about like the naysayers or anything like that. So it's just a lot of pep talks and like kind of keeping that at bay so that I can just keep producing and keep creating,
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all like that. I mean, we all, especially when Erykah Badu said it, I'm an artist and I'm sister my shit. So I feel like we've all quoted that, because when you take time and the dedication that it takes to be a musician, I'm not knocking anybody else. Everybody has things hard, but I'm just talking about music right now, guys. Is that it's not easy, and that if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. I would be playing the violin if it was easy. So what is the best part? What's the best part about being a musician?
The best part is just like, the response that I receive in myself. It's just like there's a certain sensation and a feeling that comes whenever you play. And a lot of people will say, like, if you've seen me live doing a live performance, at some point or another, I usually zone out and I end up closing my eyes, and I'm just like, instrument. And so for me, like those moments where I can just like, feel the music and express what I'm saying, because my goal through playing is basically to be able to have a conversation with my audience without speaking. And, how I play my instrument and being able to convey that, and, seeing other people light up because I can tell that they're receiving it. And I love that. Like even by myself, sometimes like in practice, I'll get really into it. And then like at the end of a song, I'm like, yeah, it was dope. And like, I get excited, and I get excited to share that with everybody else. So when my audience or other people receive it, I really love that as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, because it makes it contagious. Music is very contagious. Like when it's good and you feel the energy, like the way that you're saying it, your passion for it, like you can feel that through the music. Like I felt that at the thing when you're playing. I'm like, this is good. This is a violin. I was just shook. I'm like, this is just great. So I thought it was awesome. And you sort of alluded to about it, but what is your approach on performing? And then what constitutes a good live performance?
So good live performance, to this day, I always feel like this, even though like I've had experiences that kind of contradict it, but I love a good crowd interaction. Like if I see good crowd feedback and everyone's like in the audience and they're like bobbing their heads or they start dancing, getting hyped, like I love that because I'm like, okay, like, you know, I see the feedback and I feed off of that feedback and it kind of helps me want to do more and see what else I can do to, you know, keep that going. Because there's certain times where, you know, you go into an event or a gig and sometimes the audience is, you know, everybody enjoys it and they really like it, but not everyone shows it. And sometimes I'm like that too. So I get it. But when you're on stage in the moment and you see that like everyone's just kind of sitting there, but they like it, but they're just sitting there, like you can't tell. So I get kind of nervous and I'm just like, should I do more? Like, is there anything I can do to kind of get people up or, you know, see something or, you know, just try different things. But a good crowd interaction is like my favorite part about the performing experience.
Okay. But I guess too, I guess it matters too, like wherever you are, I guess what kind of genre of music or what you play.
Yeah.
You know, if we're at a fundraiser, we're all like, bravo, bravo, you did so well. But you know, when we're at San Diego, we're like, hey, so we're having a good time. So I definitely get that from an artist's perspective that y'all want us to tell you like, hey, y'all are feeling this or not.
Right, exactly. Because it's like if there's something that I can do to change the environment or change the scene to where you feel more comfortable or like you get more into the music, I'm happy to do that. But you know, everyone's different and every environment is different, so it's kind of just like a trial and error. You know, thing that you get with the experience the more you play.
Okay, well, I'm not going to give them no more teasers because I know everybody wants to hear you play something. What can you play for us today? What can you play for the Light the Path listeners?
Okay, my favorite track ever to play all the time is Trip by LMA. I feel like that's like my go-to staple. So I can play that if y'all want to hear it.
Yes, absolutely. Let's hear it.
All right, let me pull up the song really quick and then get the instrument together. So give me just a couple.
Sounds good.
Sorry, I had it, and then my iPhone decided to reset everything.
Okay. Oh no, take your time. It's probably like, don't put me on Do Not Disturb.
Okay. So I got my instrument right here. And this is Dulce. So this is my staple electric violin that I like to play with.
Okay. Is that girl or boy?
Dulce is a lady. It just has a really sweet sound, so that's why I kind of like gave her that name because it's just I was really surprised like after getting this violin, being able to play it based on the price point it was at, you know, the type of sound that it made. So this is my favorite violin. I have two other ones, but this is the main one that I always use to do my performances.
Okay.
All right, how's that audio? Is that good?
That's good. You're fine.
Bravo, bravo. That was
Thank you.
so good. That was so good. Yes, that was
Thank you.
awesome, awesome, awesome. It was just even better than the first time I ever seen you. It's even better.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That was great. That was great. But I appreciate you for being on the show today, lighting the path for all the people that are musicians and just giving a light to, what you do. I really appreciate it. And, we need to see more people that look like us do it. So that's what made it even more dope for me. So I appreciate you.
Of course, I appreciate you again, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Make sure you're following Light the Path on all social media platforms. Subscribe so you do not miss an episode.